Ma'am listeners. Welcome back to this live show. Today we're October 16th and we are recording this show live from Valletta. As you know, our radio is dedicated to speak about our communities here abroad, our lifestyles, our traditions, the issues that we encounter, our basically the everyday issues that we may be encountering when we are outside of Africa. Today, we are going to speak about traditions and try to understand if all traditions are acceptable, if they are all still worthy to be kept. And a very specific tradition that we're going to speak about today is the female genital mutilation. We would try to answer the question if it is still justified to keep it here. First of all, even what has justified it in the first place, and this kind of stuff. So please enjoy this show, and we hope that we would make you have fun.
Yeah, sure. Okay, thank you so much, Lauren. That is a great topic. And to discuss it today in the studio, we are myself, Regina, and Lauren, who just introduced the topic to you, and Thomas. Hi, Thomas.
Hi, Regime. Good morning. Once more, I'm happy again. I'm back on the studio.
Yeah.
And for our viewers on Facebook, I want to say I'm very happy for the sharing and the comment and everything and your contribution. And I would just say I'm just overwhelmed, and we always need your contribution to guide us to continue with the show. Thank you very much.
Absolutely, I agree with you because without you, our audience, we wouldn't be here. I just remember a reminder that we are not only live on Facebook but also live on our community radio that you can reach on the link. It's a web radio that you can listen to on the link amamradio.com. So, female genital mutilation, FGM as it's called in short, it is such a difficult topic, controversial, because in some parts of the world it is a tradition. It is a tradition, and the WHO, the World Health Organization, put it as the violation of human rights of girls or women who are subjected to it. So there are a lot of debates that are organized around that tradition, let's say that activity. There are NGOs whose mission specifically is about combating FGM, and yet there are people, as I said at the introduction, traditions that are alive today, holding on that thing. Can I say thing?
Practice.
Practice, exactly that practice. So we want to discuss that aspect, and I will go to you now, Thomas. We briefly spoke about it recently, and you said that you defend the cultural aspect of FGM. Can you develop a little bit on that?
Well, Regine, thank you very much for handing the mic on to me. Um, The circumcisions, the problem is the information around this female circumcision. For me, it's there are a lot of misinformation because one, if we're talking about if it is a bad practice because it is said fetish, so they're using words to make it look that bad. And if the World Health Organization can come with the proof, I need to know the proof. Back then, the women that were circumcised, they were being they passed through this circumcision process. Do they have any symptoms of illness? Did they affect them negatively in their livelihood? How does it affect them? That's my problem because I don't base my information based on the internet or what the media is going to say. When the media says something, I also want to do my research. I know why and how they have to come with the facts that it was a bad tradition.
Can I just say something, because maybe we started on the wrong foot. We should have maybe explain what is FGM. Lauren, can you say something about that?
Yeah,
Just the
sure.
explanation of FGM, yes.
FGM stands for female genital mutilation, and basically it's the action of partially or totally removing the female genital parts for whatever reason it is, and we're going to discuss these reasons
Yes,
in
exactly.
this show.
So cutting basically the genital part of a woman, and Thomas, you were
When
saying
you
that
Sorry,
when
the external genital
yes,
part of the woman.
yes,
So it's
the mo-
removing partially or totally the external
that
part
part.
of
the external part, I don't understand. The external part
Yes,
is
the
if
labia. Let's use word the labia. You know, the external part of the female genital. You know that they call it labial. So
well
cutting it off.
well that is why I'm talking about information and the source of information.
Yes.
From this aspect, I got my information from the grassroots because that's where it all started. And when you need to have an information, you need to go back to the grassroots. And how do we have this information? We have this information. Yeah, I don't know if basically these scientists or these doctors they try to carry out one circumcisions and they find out that it is damage to the female system or organs. I don't know, but according to the grassroots, this act was being carried by our forefathers, our parents, because they believe it's not about the outer part. There's something. It is very inside, and it's something very small, which they have to remove for a lady, for a female, in order to make him not to make her not to have the sexual urge for men to be a virgin until she gets married. So if this being the case of the cause of female circumcision, and they didn't, my problem is if they weren't having any effect of this circumcision, and if they, because it might be the only part there is if they are being forced to do it, they should allow everyone to have the will. If you are not forced and you have passed through this process, and secondly, if it is not harmful, from my source it wasn't harmful.
Okay,
So I
Isabel.
would say most of the time, FGM happens between the birth and 15 years old or so. So my question is, when you're that young, how can you have the will or even the power to say no to your parents?
Well, if your parents are your guardians, and if your parents at that stage as a little child, you don't have anything. They just tell you what to do and do what they want to do for you. So at that moment, your parents have that capacity to say, no, my child will not go through this process, or yes, my child will go through this process. And if the parents accept for the child, for the children, for the female, their female child to go through that process, it means they accept on the will of the child, and it is their will because it's their child, not someone else.
No, I don't agree. It cannot be on the will of the child. I mean, the child is young, too young to make this kind of decision. And really and truly, I can bet you. Go and ask a 15-year-old lady if she wants her, her genital parts to be partially or totally removed. And I bet she will tell you no.
the thing
Most of the
is
time,
the thing
so.
is these things is coming out of learning, and learning comes from childbirth when you are groomed, and the things they tell you, if yeah, in our society today we see it as fictish because of what the name they put behind it. That's now, if you ask the children of that time, all of them will tell you yes, because that was their time. It existed in that time.
Okay.
So we are talking on two different eras of which now scientists have come, and the world have evolved, and we have
Okay.
different ideologies and different thoughts. But I cannot say our forefathers or our ancestors were foolish to carry out this circumcision, because most of they didn't do only that. They started doing operation on many things, like surgery of the brain, like operation of the stomach, like in the Timbuktu, in Mesopotamia. We have Africans started this operation of the brain, operation to operate a woman and remove child from her stomach. So if they were doing all these things and they realized that that thing, because the operation now is just modernity, we have the machines that carry on all those things, but they were doing all those things successfully. And my question I'm going to give back to you is, if these things they were doing, I need proof to be convinced that it is not good to go through this process if it was harmful to the women.
I can reverse that question actually. I need proof to me to for me to understand that it used to be good. What has justified the goodness of that practice before it started being done? What
Yeah,
justified that? I mean, what good was there inside?
the justification, the inside of that is very simple. When we go back to our parents who had 100 and those who passed away 100 years and 200 years behind us, you see their lifestyle, their women were very holy to them. They were very focused on their marital home and their marital issues.
Okay.
You hardly get this issue of cheating and so on and so forth. And it could be justified around us because we see one person could get married to about four women and they live as a family and they do things together as a family. But now we don't see those things happening now. I believe from my source, those are one of the things that could keep these women together because they only have one focus for their man, the husband they get married to.
I don't agree because back then it could be, and actually I believe that it is the case, it was more taboo. Today things are more open. You know, if women were already cheating on their husbands back then, there was an era where it was more taboo, it wasn't well seen. Today in some cultures it's still taboo, don't get me wrong, but it's more out there in the open. So the fact, the argument of saying that, you know, this abomination, I have to call it by this name, basically, was justified to keep a woman holy or to preserve her virginity or whatsoever, to me, it just doesn't stand because um, it doesn't make sense, basically. I mean,
You said something. Yeah, you said something, Thomas. You said that it was also justified to keep a woman from having that urge for sex. That's what's wrong with having urge for sex. I mean, isn't that a natural uh, attitude that even men have? What is it? Gender divide. Men can have an urge for sex, but not women. Why?
Well,
and
the
if I just may add something,
yes.
I think this also can backfire if you consider, if I go to the end of that logic, in the sense that if a woman, before she gets married, this practice is being done upon her because you don't want her to have an urge for sex, okay? What happens when she gets married? She wouldn't have that urge either. Can we at least agree to
No,
that logic?
the
Because it's
the thing is there is that stage of puberty when a lady arrive that stage around 15 to 16, 17, there is that anxiety. So they were doing this thing. That's why you see the length of it was from 0 to 15, because they know at this 15 period you're having that urge, and they want to remove that urge out of you, so you be keep yourself and until you get married.
But
Because
is there a
because
similar practice for men as well? Because here we talk. My point is on this gender divide. Was there also a similar practice to keep the man from that urge to sex? Because at the same age, young boy also urge for sex. This is a natural thing
yeah,
for bodies.
yes,
But if
yes.
there wasn't anything that also kept men, from sex, then it is discrimination against girls. Why
uh,
should we? That's why the WHO maybe
by
saying that
by
it is a
genetics
violation of
and
human
by
rights.
genetics and by physically, and we will see that men are polygamous being.
we will not do that debate anymore. Okay, So to our dear listeners, we've already done that
We
debate like a
already done
couple of weeks
our
ago. So I can only refer you to go and see that
my
debate.
God, incredible. So
Where obviously, as you can see, Thomas and I, Thomas on one side and Regine and I on the other side were just disagreeing on that.
yes.
So we will not do it again
No,
here.
we won't do it again really, because but so this is the reason basically men are naturally polygamous. So
Yes. In their genes and in every aspect, is proven that men are naturally polygamous in their nature. So, and now, since and men is the powerhouse in the household, he becomes the person who have to provide, who have to create the security, in as much as the woman also provide and do. But a man, that is the power of the man, providing and creating security to that family. And destabilize a man is like, because that a woman is considered as a happiness to a man. It's like a happiness to a man, that helper to a man. And if this cheating aspect is involved into a relationship between a man, it start to destabilize a man.
But it doesn't answer the question.
because
Is there an equivalent for a man, yes or no, to stop the sexual urge? I mean, from what you just said,
there isn't for what you just said.
I
There
didn't
isn't.
spot the answer. That's why I'm
Yes,
asking again. So I
yes.
don't know if you spot an answer
No,
or
there
not.
is, because the answer was that man is a polygamous, so there's no way of doing anything because that is his nature. A man has to go around and have at least as many women as he wants. That's what he's saying. I want
Oh,
us to
wow.
to
Okay.
try
I didn't get
to
it. Okay.
I want to let's go to move a little bit further because you're insisting on the cultural aspects of the practice. Girls are kept because they have to get married for the future husband. So you are saying that incidentally that a girl, her achievement in life is getting married. So if she doesn't have a husband, then she's a doomed. That's why you're saying first that a girl must at any cost be married. The second thing that you don't mention as all, it is the harm, the physical harm that is done. There are studies, even at Bradrose, that prove that cutting a girl, as is usually done without anesthesia, can be very harmful. The bleeding can lead to death. There are diseases that come from that, tetanus. There are proofs, girls who have been cut who testify that their life has been destroyed. But that aspect is not taken into account when you explain what is the good of excision. What about that aspect? What
We
about the suffering?
we cannot damage operation because 2 or 3 people or 100 out of 2,000 person died in an operation room.
That's 100 too much. I'm sorry. I
Yes,
mean,
yes.
when do we put
I'm
the
going
limit?
to.
Okay.
I'm saying if we cannot damage operation because out of 2,000 persons that went for an operation and we have 100 persons that died, is that a fact for us to avoid operations?
Well, you can call it collateral damages, like at war. Some civilians die. But what about the suffering of those families? We
Yes.
cannot.
No.
Also, because we're talking here about a cultural practice, it's not something that is prescribed by law.
I would also make a difference. Is it life-changing difference in the sense that if that operation is not being done, will the person die? Yes or no? I mean, I think we need to separate this.
Yeah,
This
obviously,
aspect here.
obviously. Before I start, I told you if it is something that is voluntary, not forceful. I stand for it. If it is voluntary and it didn't have any harm, but if it was forcefully, it was something that was like a law that every female have to pass through that process. I am going to defend. I'm going to be against that process.
Yes,
And this is where I bounced. Most of the countries where this practice is being done are, most of them, Africa and Middle East. Okay. And interestingly enough, when you have a look at the legislation of these countries and whatsoever, legally, this is forbidden.
yes.
So
It is forbidden,
like,
so it is done unlawfully.
so
actually.
it's done a bit underground. It's done in the dark, in the shadows, in the so
And if it is, it means that when it's done on the ground, and it means that in this, like you said, it's a belief.
Mm-hmm.
Believing, first of all, I talk about believing. Believing is subduing you not to think, because and thinking comes according to process. It's metamorphosing. It's like osmosis. It has a process that it has to pass. Like the way we think now is not going to be the way our children are coming to think. They will have something similar, but there will be some dissimilarities between our thinking and theirs.
Mm-hmm.
So at this time, I'm talking based on the time which they were doing the thing, the beliefs, and how it was working for them. How was it helpful for them?
Yes,
So
I
I
want to say
yes.
something because I believe it's working for them. You mentioned the fact that women, the operation, our forefathers were already doing operation, brain surgery, all good things, But are all traditions good? Because we can just also decide
No,
that
no.
our forefathers were doing some things in the past, but then today we realize that maybe those things are not that good. Because let me read you some example of the direct consequences of
FGM.
FGM, you say urinary problems, painful urination, urinary tract infection, vaginal problems, discharge, itching, bacterial vaginosis and other infection, menstrual problems, painful menstruation, difficulty in passing menstrual blood, scar tissues and keloid, sexual problems, pain during intercourse, decreased satisfaction, and so the list is long. So all these things are being subjected to a girl, to a baby, without her consent, because from 0 to 15, as Lauren mentioned, you don't have any will because your parents decide for you. But after that, when you get married now, you can't even enjoy your marital life because it's painful.
And in some cases, you even have difficulties in giving birth, if I may add,
That is what's mentioned in
in
here.
giving birth
So
as
our
well.
forefathers were doing it because they wanted to keep women for themselves, to be ready for the marriage. But nowadays women are independent, they work, they are entrepreneur, they are engineer, they are whatever they want. Do they really need that to have
Why?
a husband?
Why is it that in the days of our parents, one parent is going to have about 10, 15 children with one particular woman? But now, with all the science stuff and the prevention, and we don't pass through the circumcision of female, sometimes you even if you see a lady to have even a child is a problem.
Well, okay.
So you were saying the stop of the FGM can cause having a child. Is that what I mean? This is what I said.
Are you telling me that,
No,
or
I'm asking.
I don't know? I asked a question.
Okay.
No, what
That
was, yes.
how with the female circumcision,
Uh huh.
with our parents,
Uh huh.
Yes.
they were able with that circumcision, with all the disqualification that the doctors are giving on what the damage is, they
Yes.
were able with that circumcision process to have, with that same woman that has been circumcised, to have 10 children, 9
Yes,
children, 15 children.
because
Why is it that with all the proofs and all
yes,
the science today, all the
yes,
technologies today that we have, we
yes.
don't go through that process? And it's difficult for us, our ladies around now, to have just a
It is
single
not
child.
difficult. No,
But
it's not
is it a
difficult. No.
necessary pain?
Exactly. Also,
Is
it's
this a
not difficult for a
necessary
woman to
pain?
have children because women, we live our time. We live our time. Our time now, it is a one world. There's technology that's changed. We cannot remain in the past. And also today there's data because our forefathers, did they collect the number of women who died during circumcisions? Because we didn't have that data. Today we have data. We know that in that village there were 10 girls who were born in 2020, and in 2021 we only have 5 girls. Where are the other 5 girls? They have died maybe during the practice. That data now is available today. That's why they are saying that girls are dying
Well,
because of these traditions. That means that it's not good. If it was one girl out of 1,000, okay, but if there are already 10, even 10 is too much. no one should die anyway. No one should die for something that is should be harmful, because extradition is something beneficial. So why are people dying? There shouldn't be any death.
Then why are people dying in an operation room when there
Well,
might be why they should no one is supposed to die?
okay,
Why are they supposed to
because
die in
in
an
the
operation room?
in
Maybe they have
operation
to
room,
operate an appendix or what? Why are they supposed to die?
because an accident happens. This is a protocol that is set
Okay.
regularly.
And most of
An
the time
accident.
in an operation room, it's like if we don't operate, the
The
person,
person
will
dies.
die. If
Yes.
we operate, the
The
person
might
might.
survive. But for
So
FGM,
it's like in FGM, it's like
I
if we don't operate, the person would leave. If
that
we
is
operate,
She might
that
die.
is why I say
Yes.
that is why I'm telling you it's a fact and I can defend it in any length. Science have just about, to me, just about 20% to support life. Science have come to destroy many life. Even in WHO, I will stand and I will tell them and I will give them proofs. Science have come to damage life and science have come to destroy lives. They give us what they want. Those people in the WHO, I call them businessmen. They are all businessmen. They are there to promote their business and make you understand that they are on top and they can do all these things. But like appendix and some passing through some normal operations, we have herbalists. When you have appendix, they mix some concoctions and they give you drink and it's going to scatter everything and you become okay
You are right.
without operation. But now many people are going through that operation. I because I'm talking due to, because me, I'm coming from the grassroots. I have visited more than, let me say, more than 100 villages in Cameroon. And I have seen many differences, the magic. I will quote to an example of something. There was a lady who was in a labor room. He was being there for about 7 hours. She could not put to bed. And at the moment which they were supposed to pass her on the theater, there was one grandmother who said they should go and there is a leaf. It creeps on the ground. It's slippery. Okay, and there is other one, we call it our normal language, we call it kenenkene. I don't know if you have it.
Yeah.
That they should wash it, they should squeeze it in the water and give her to drink. They gave her that kenenkene to drink. Just in the moment of about an hour, she put to bed immediately with an ease. So you see, she was supposed, the only means after that thing, they have no option. She has to go to under operation. But which there are means there to help her to survive.
But Thomas, we are not saying that those things don't exist. It is a fact that
I'm taking you back to tradition to make you
we
see.
are
But
into
we
traditions.
agree.
We agree on
we
that.
agree
We have
on
some
the
similar
medication
examples.
and
Yes.
on the natural medication
Yeah.
and whatsoever. I would be the first one to say
Yeah,
yes.
yes, yeah,
Definitely, But there are some, let me give you a bit of numbers, okay? 2018 or 19, if I'm not mistaken, very recently, there were 200 million women declared that have gone through FGM. And I'm saying declared because really and truly, this is a taboo subject. So probably most of them would not even declare it. Okay. And one of the reasons why we know this is because most of them are lucky or blessed enough to be able to migrate into developed countries, okay, to have some reparation or whatsoever, some reconstruction surgery. So yes, I agree with you when you say this is a business. Absolutely. Even if the World Health Organization says it's against and whatsoever, I am still waiting to see what they are actually implementing to stop it from happening, okay? But on the other hand, it is a business. And when I say it's a business, we're talking about, again, the same year, I think 2019, 1.5 billion US dollars were done in profit from these operations. So whatever is done on one side, another side benefits from it somehow.
Yeah.
Okay. So on that aspect, yes, I agree with you.
Totally as well. And what I want to say that, and what's the point? And the point here on this debate is that FGM, female genital doesn't have to be, because a girl
Exactly.
comes to work She doesn't have any illness.
Exactly.
And then someone come with a razor, a blade, and cuts her. Why? And so
But
she
Well,
started having problems. She didn't have anything. She was
especially
okay.
the reasons that are being provided from why it was done back then for a woman to become modest and to keep her virginity as long as possible. Today is not justified anymore. I'm sorry. So we can just because of that
yeah,
reason
yeah.
Yes.
Today,
for a
Well,
misconcept
Thomas, yes.
for a misconcept of health, conservation or whatsoever. Today it's not justified anymore. At least not for that aspect. Okay, a woman can live healthy in a healthy way with all her female genital parts on her.
Yeah.
Okay, so today is not justified anymore. For what? Religious reasons? Really? Like really and truly, it's like, is it as opposed to male circumcision? I'm sorry. I mean, it's like, no, it's absolutely not justified. For what? Today we call, in some countries, we have what they say, political correctness or whatsoever. I would say in this case, what is it for? Social correctness, because there was the pressure of the society back then, so women had to do it. Really? It's like we live in a world where, again, we can live, at least women can live without actually experiencing this. And even more considering the consequences that this can generate on a short and long term. Short term, excessive bleeding, urinal, she has listed them basically.
Yes.
Long term, psychological problems, marital issues, difficulties in giving birth,
Exactly.
destruction of
And-
the actual genital part.
the only thing the only time
So
we
to
we
me, it's not justified anymore.
we can only have a possible conclusion and a possible solution to this based on those who were there in that era. I know, just like they say, there are some of the some places in Africa which these practices, and in the Middle East which they are still carrying on. And if it is not backed by law and they still do it behind the doors, it means that because normally laws, state boundaries were made by man and can still be changed by man. Is this law? That's why even in the parliament every year they are there to rectify laws that they made that were not in accordance. It doesn't match the standard. They have to come to modify it. Some they will abolish it. Man, naturally, man doesn't have a stable decision over life. But as far as life goes on, we only. That's why it is people only give opinions. There is no one who have the supremacy over thinking or over discovery or over justification. We only give opinions, and we try to consider some of the things based of what we see or the things that happens around us, and we
Based
draw
on
our
facts
conclusions.
But
and data.
Yes, based on facts
Well,
and
when
data
you're
as
talking
well.
about data,
Yes.
I want to tell you, okay, when I follow on Fox News, there is this program, there is this journalist, they call him Water.
Okay.
Yes.
Carlson.
Okay, Carson, Tucker Carlson, sorry, thank you very much. There was, when this COVID exploded, it was the data that was rising up in America. It created a lot of panic, but that wasn't the data. It showed that Fauci and certain governors and I forgot his name. Como.
Yes.
Yes.
New York.
They gave fake data outside.
Yes.
So when we're talking of data, that's why I
know
said
the
these
scandal.
things. These
No,
things
Thomas,
are.
yes.
We will not go to that
No,
subject.
we will not
because
go to that subject. Yeah, it's a very
Yes.
sensitive.
it's a very sensitive,
Data is
especially to our
sensitive.
friends on
Yes,
Facebook
exactly,
and Instagram.
Yes. No, we are not going
So
to that
we're
data
not
because
going
it is sensitive. But data is sensitive. We cannot remove data because we need data to understand
Yes,
it. But
we need-
wait, Thomas,
and
no.
to make decisions.
And to make decision, we need data, and there is data because the people who complain about FGM is not only the WHO. Why is the WHO came in? Because people who are affected by that complaint. There are women today who set up organizations who are part of the civil society who are caught, who have been circumcised, and who are saying that it had ruined their life. They are speaking up. They show pictures of their genital parts. I have pictures of women. It is horrible. That's not the way they were. They were. You wouldn't even want to see it. I don't know if you ever seen a woman who has been caught. It is the most horrible spectacle out there, because it is just like, like you have this beautiful face and then they remove the cheek.
Well,
Why will you do that?
don't
We
you-
have to say things as they are, because it will be
Yes.
too, like an ideal war. A woman is caught and then she's ready for her husband. Go and look at the spectacle of that woman. Go look out there.
And
It is terrible. It's a terrible sight.
and I would repeat something else. Most of these states that practice this legally, it's illegal. Most of
is.
them, it is. So the law doesn't back them. Now, you might be wondering, how come this still continues? I will give you a couple of reasons, at least I believe. First of all, I said a while ago that 200 million people declared that a couple of years ago, okay?
200 million out of
Women.
how many
Women.
million women?
Well,
It's 200. So it's,
How
it's,
many
it's
how
it's
many-
200 million too much. Let's say that way. But it's 200 million
Too much.
who
Out
have
of
who
how
have
many-
This is the
declared.
population of Nigeria. 200 million is the population of an entire country. Put
And
that into
Yes,
who
perspective.
have
yes.
declared.
Who have
Out.
declared? How
Out.
about those who don't declare?
Out of how many million?
Well,
Again.
okay, you cannot suppress 2 million. It is
I mean,
a lot.
2 million, 2 million. How many
Well, they used
humans
to
are
say
we
they
on
used
How
to
Earth?
many
say
humans
they
are
used to
we?
say they used to say majority wins the vote. That's what they say.
No, look, we are living in a country which
Well-
have 500,000 people. This is a country. Nigeria is a country with 200 million population. I don't remember. This is an
I think
entire
it's almost
country
the
that
same
has
as
been that has been cut. An entire
Yes,
country.
entire
just
Nigeria.
one country out of how many countries?
But we need all our countries on this earth.
But
We need
again,
them all.
yes,
And
we,
don't forget,
yes.
these are those that have the courage to speak up.
Yes.
Because I am sure
Yes.
the actual number is
Yes,
at
yes.
least
Yes.
10 times more.
Yes.
At least.
Those who
And
don't
my
speak.
question would be, why does it still continue? First of all, the subject
It
is
should
taboo.
be-
Yes, the subject is
It's
taboo,
very
yes.
taboo. It takes a lot of courage for a woman to speak about the
Well-
state of her private parts. I mean, it
Here-
especially out there in the
here,
public, you know.
Here I'm going to.
And the
I will-
second
Wait,
reason
Thomas,
is also, since the subject is taboo, some families, I believe, maybe they want to do it that way or not, they use that because, I mean, the girls wouldn't want their families to be prosecuted because, again, as I reminded, it is illegal in some of these countries. So let's say if my mom decided to do this to me and I am suffering the consequences, I would do everything. And if I love my mom, I would do everything for her not to be prosecuted because she's my mom. I mean, this is why people are not coming forward, but it doesn't mean the problem doesn't exist.
Yes.
It doesn't mean it's only 2
Yes.
million people.
The fact is, first of all, in those areas which they carry on this exercise and it is a taboo, it is not backed by the law. I believe, and I think what those places, those who are out or they are privileged to exercise their right and they can speak, since they know it is not backed by the law, suppose what they have to do to earn it, because I am speaking based on my source, but I am not like I'm backing their facts that they give to me. I wasn't there, I don't know what happened. And it's just like the facts you're giving me based on data and whatsoever proof you have on your computer, I don't know. But I'm talking based on what I get from the grassroots. And but again, I'm going to defend the female gender because it is not even advisable to put something as a law which is not backed by law, because to them, when you say a taboo is a normal thing we use, name we use as is another name for us. It's like law. So you are implementing a taboo. You are calling it a taboo. A taboo looks very frightful. It looks like if you don't do it, a word that is going to frighten you. Like if you don't do it, something spiritual is going to happen to your family. It's
But
like
that's
a curse.
what's happening.
No,
I
no,
mean, but that is not what is taboo. Taboo is that you don't speak up.
We cannot speak
Be-
about
be-
it because
you are
we are
afraid,
ashamed
because
or
you
we
are
are
ashamed,
afraid
you are
or it's
afraid,
not
whatever.
our culture
Yes.
to speak about it.
Yes.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. It makes you to be afraid to stand for your right, to speak for yourself. Yes, those are I'm just saying because we call it porn. You're playing with words, playing with people, humans' intelligence. But for those who are enlightened, who can know that in that same country, you have to, what you have to do is to go to that same country, follow the procedures by law, and make sure these people don't pass through this thing. It can be there, but it should be by your free will, not out of your will.
I
So
think maybe we can speak about solutions, because the fact that even we are talking about it now more and more means that there is a problem. People who went to, because there are other cultures, what other traditions still there? Why are we not complaining about other traditions? There are a lot of other traditions here that no one even, the dowry, for example. Many people say, oh, dowry is becoming so expensive, it is a scam, it is a thief, but no one's really concerned about suppressing it because it doesn't harm anybody. But we're talking here about physical harm, a physical thing which is harmful.
this is
it,
life
it,
and death.
it is life and death thing. So the person who goes through it must
Can
be
die.
aware that I accept to be caught because I believe that. But you cannot force that
Yes,
to a
yes,
girl.
yes.
Yes,
And
as it
also
is
and
happening now.
also
Forcefully,
Yes.
must know the
forcefully.
consequences.
And
And
if
one
the
of the
person-
consequences is possible death.
Death. Yes.
It's like
If not possible,
in
that
in
a
in
life of
in
suffering.
in every operation there is a consequence for that.
Yes.
So that is what you have to
Definitely.
put. So if you are accepting, that's why the like in the hospital someone have to sign to make sure I accept that this person is going through this process and
Yes.
I'm aware of it,
Exactly.
because they don't do it
so.
without.
So we
As I
need
said,
we
the
need
bigger
to
question here
we
is,
need
can we
to
make a 0 to 15-year-old sign
sign.
something like this
Yes.
when they are under the guardianship of their parents or whatever legal guard they have?
Can they sign? Yes.
I don't
Or
get you. Can you come again?
So, is it feasible to make a child between 0 and 15 years old to sign such
she
authorization?
cannot sign authorization because she's under the
Even
guardian of her
even
parents. Will
even
sign
even
on her
even
behalf.
even a grown-up man,
Does that
even
child even know the
no,
consequences
no,
that
to
one of them
that,
can be
to
death?
on even as mature as you are, you can't go through operation without someone standing for you. You can't sign by yourself and they carry on operation
But at
for
least
you.
you are informed of the risk.
Yes, you are
Yes.
informed, but you can't go that without someone taking an undertaking for you.
Yes, guy, can we kind of find a solution of that? Because we will certainly
Yes,
the cultural thing, a cultural thing is very difficult because
yeah,
when it is rooted into culture, it is a problem. And that's
no,
actually, I believe that the FGM
the
is the problem because it is cultural in many places of the world. What will be the solution to make it look good?
well,
If
If
the
possible.
if
solution,
possible.
the solution is very simple. Creating an awareness first. And awareness is one of the important things, because I think if you are informed, you will not be deformed. Because there are many things when I was informed. I always fight in my own village that I grow. I always fought for those things because I was informed of the damage. I always stand for it, no matter, even if I'm standing alone. I will fight for it. And when you fight for such things, you have to create an awareness for others to know that no, I can also stand and fight. There must be people who have to fight in such localities, such communities that practice these things. They have to stand for them. And like creating ONGs or creating an organization, yeah, they are women organization. Even it doesn't matter the number, but the people you have support for you have support, people will come in to help you see that they have to abolish those things.
Yeah.
So the things we have to is creating organization. And for those of us who are not in organizations like that, we might not be there physically, but we might support, because those things might need finance. It might be we need advocate. If you know you're a good defender, you can stand as an advocate voluntarily. We need such people to stand and speak for people who cannot speak, because if we call them taboo, it means that it is something that is frightful. If you don't do, it's like there's a corporal punishment, because taboo also is not like it also goes with corporal punishment. If they know you don't do this thing, you have punishment from the village. So the
Yeah.
laws that are binding those things.
Yeah.
So we have to stand and speak for these people, because
Yeah.
they can't speak for themselves. They
Yeah.
find themselves like in a cage,
Yeah.
which they
Exactly.
can't speak, they can't do anything. So those of us who are liberal and we have we know where we can channel this So, in order to defend them, I believe if we do that, we can reduce and gradually we can get rid of.
Yeah, okay.
I
Do
think the
you?
best way to reduce is to cut it from the source, basically, by stopping doing it in the first place. It's like, I mean, what has been
Yes.
done in the
How?
past, we can't come back and
Mm-hmm.
correct it.
Yeah.
But today we can start making a decision. And for instance, one of these decisions is not only to stop doing this, but also to denounce those who are doing this. Because to me, this is unacceptable. This is creating an environment for which a child, the girl, the young lady would have to heal from when she grows up or when she gets married. This is not the best way to start life or even an adulthood life, basically. So I think we need to stop this and to denounce more.
Yes, I also I believe I think that the aspects of FGM, when we put it on the cultural aspects, and people say we have to uphold our cultures because otherwise the Europeans will come and want to suppress everything, but things that are not explained sometimes deeply because of the reality of what they are. Because if a lot of men, I think, cared about women and go look actually what is like after being caught, what is the life of a woman after being caught, being seeing that thing before and seeing it after, I'm sure that a lot of men will say, no, I don't want this to, I don't want my wife to look like this. I don't even know men, we are all adults here. Do men even look at the genital, at the wife's genital? Do they look at it? Because there is a practice of intercourse where a man goes look. Because if men go look, they won't do it because it is so horrible. I think we should show those pictures. A man, if I was a man, I wouldn't want to see that to my wife. So I think we should. I wanted to find that list of what is it actually when a woman is caught. That's what I'm looking. Let me give. There are four types of cuttings. There's one which is called infibulation. This is the narrowing of the vaginal opening through the creation of a covering seal. The seal is formed by cutting and repositioning the labia minora or labia majora, sometimes through stitching with or without removal of the clitorical prepuce. So they cut the labial and then they cover the access to the vagina. We have to say those things. That's what's happening to a girl without anesthesia. This is the thing. Or even if with anesthesia, it's still horrible. This is one because there are four types. The first type, the large one, this is the partial or total removal of the clitoral glands, the external and visible part of the clitoris, which is a sensitive part of the female genitals. So they cut that. And the second one is this is the partial or total removal of the clitorical glands and the labia minora, the inner folds of the vulva, with or without removal of the labia majora. So they cut that as well. Basically, they just do things into your inner part. Who even has the courage to go there and cut someone? I'm saying that for me the solution will be that to put all those things very clear to the young girls, this is what will happen to the young boys, this is what will happen to your future wife, and the consequences, the health consequences. And then we do advocacy. Yes, advocacy, a lot of advocacy here, awareness raising, and we need to stop that.
And I also think, whatever reasons, I mean, the reasons that people used to be doing that in the past, whether it's centuries ago or millennia ago or whatsoever, if the reasons do not exist anymore, why keep it?
Well, I think I should be drawing my conclusions since
Yes,
we are
yes,
getting
yeah,
at
yeah,
the
we're
end of the
getting at the end
show.
of the show,
Well,
absolutely,
our
yes.
listeners and our viewers, we're waiting for your opinions. We need to see the comment. We need to join our hands together in order to make Africa a better place. And well, a debate is to bring out points and to clarify ourselves and to make sure we get the right track to follow. We don't base on past statistics, but we base on present things we see and how harmful and positive it is in our daily lives. So I am coming to the conclusion that female circumcision is should be abolished because first, tampering with with a lady clitoris, that's already taking her out of because the clitoris is that part that give her the satisfaction during sexual intercourse. It means that you are subjecting her out of the happiness, and you derive the happiness as a man, and but she doesn't derive the happiness, which is bad. Sex is something that is cordial, it's something that is passionate. It comes with the feelings, and when that feelings comes and you don't feel what you're supposed to feel, I believe it is something that is very bad. And we go to the other aspect of the outcome after this circumcision process, the difficulties in urinating, the problem is going to cause, and worst of it all, the psychological, it's a trauma, something that's going to traumatize you for the rest of your life. It can affect even your job and everything you have to do in life, because once ever you think about it, and you may, yeah, like our presenter, she talked about for men seeing the vagina of their woman. When you look at it, many men, I think men of our days today, because we reason different, will not even look, it will not even look appetizing for you to look at it, and there you're going to, it's going to reduce the love you have for your woman. That might even lead to divorce. Yes, I believe many men, if they see that, it can even lead to divorce. So and so it should be something, we should not allow only the women to stand and fight for it. We should stand as one person, as human, as an upright thinking human. We should stand with them, fight for them, and give them the support where necessary.
Wow, that was a great conclusion. I'm so happy about that. I don't have anything else to add because we came here with discussing that you were in favor on it, and then you've just been converted, and I wouldn't think of a better conclusion, Lauren. Really.
I mean, you said it all. Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Indeed, and I believe that for the fact for women, if men get involved into the fact for women's rights, problems will be solved, because
Absolutely.
that is really the solution. We have a problem, we call for a man, look, this is what we are going through, can you help us to solve this issue? And your conclusion is just perfect, Tomat. I'm sure that a lot of women out there will be very, very grateful for what you've just said. So with that, we have to conclude this show today. It was very interesting indeed. We had some good debate, some good different opinions, and we just laid back what is actually FGM and why it should be banned. And we stand by all those who fight for the abolition of this outdated practice. So we, as usual, we wish you a good weekend, and then don't forget to keep on following us on social media, send us comments, propose, suggest us some topic that we can discuss further, because we are here for, to discuss everything that concerns Africa and our life here in Malta. Bye for now.